All right, what is up, you guys? Sage here, and today, despite the holy garb, we're actually going to say something that's very controversial in terms of the space of religion and then the way that things are typically done and thought of. We're going against that grain today. We're expanding on ideas that we have put out that may be considered anti that, but they're actually not. They're just anti the systems that have been formed around this great figure, this great revolutionary, and things that that person sort of advocated for. But I believe the words have been, but this is just my belief. By the way, disclaimer, this is just my belief that the words and ideas of the great men who came before us have been twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools. So I put out something recently, and that's what I'm looking for now. And it pertained to part 1 of why I'm not Christian anymore. And I ended up making a part 2 and a part 3 because there were comments on it, and then I replied. And then part 3 is something that I dropped recently. Let's keep our hand off this mouse pad for 2-3 seconds. Okay, why I'm not Christian anymore. Christ wasn't a Christian. He was a man of faith who believed in God. And so am I. I respect and acknowledge all religious texts, but I'm an African first until further notice. And the part 2 is just completely an extension of this idea, because people came back, and I even said at the end of this, I may revert back eventually, but through critical thought, I'm here now. This is where I've landed up to a place where I'm like, okay, do you know what? I'm actually not Christian anymore, because I don't think that's what Christ wanted. You know, I don't think that's what any of these messengers. I really don't think. I think the point was, guys, here's a way of life. Here's the way I think we ought to live it, and that's that. So, and with that, gained anointing, gained favor, etc. The idea, or the ideas that were built around the institution of Christianity are actually outside of the scope of what religion is supposed to be. And people came through with their own stories, their own agendas, and I believe it's become tainted to the point where we've lost the messaging itself. I do believe that the point that was trying to be made is something that I'm going to hit on, and when we get to that part 3. So let's look for part 2 quickly. And I literally put out the statement that I just read to you guys now, and then there was a response to it. And because of the response, it warranted for me to make a sort of part 2. There we go. So someone came through and they said, but Christ means anointed, and that means blah blah blah. And then I asked them a very simple question: are you not anointed? What makes you any less special than anyone? I mean, is it not said in the very text, in the very messaging of the prophet himself? Is it not said that the same power that rose Christ from the dead lives in you? On what leg can you stand on and tell me that you're not God, that I'm not God, that God is not within all of us? And therefore, what's the differentiator? What's the separator? For me, it has been, again, through critical thought, I thought, okay, the way that man lived his life is the most admirable thing ever. And so I can't say, no, Jesus is not Lord, because he was also God. I'm also God. You know, that to deny him is to deny myself. Do you understand? Through my understanding. And with that being said, I responded, he said, Christ means this. So obviously Christ couldn't believe in. And then first and foremost, that's even flawed logic on its own, because What do you mean he didn't believe in himself? Of course he believed in himself. Of course he believed himself. Otherwise, why would he live his life like that? Avoiding the temptations is the most admirable thing that he did throughout his life, remaining in that sense sort of pure. Obviously, the thought is one thing, and I think eventually to even have conquered that is just admirable. As someone myself who's struggled at times with certain things, not substances, but yeah, you can do the math on your own for that one. And understanding this, understanding the type of man that he was, and understanding that it may be true yet, it may be true still, that this man was being crucified. Understand this. They're putting nails through him. And his as far as he was concerned, these may have been his final words. Now, there are different versions of the story out there of how he actually came back. Perhaps he never truly passed away. He came off the nails. They healed him. They came through the herbs, because he did still have the holes in his hands, apparently, when he came back. But that's besides the point. My point is that as he's getting nailed through, he thinks these are his final moments, and where some of us perhaps would anger, some of us would be furious at these people, like, what are you doing? What have I done? He said none of that. He said, forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do, because they're serving agendas that are beyond the scope of their thought. They're not even thinking of the long-term consequences and repercussions of crucifying me. I'm gonna die today. Forgive them. They don't know on what side they're fighting. They're just doing what they're told to do. So yeah, those are the admirable qualities of the man, and his teachings, etc. fully respect. That being said, this was the second part, which is, this is my life, man, that I'm talking about here. And bear in mind that when the Bible speaks of how to treat non-believers, that my entire people fell under that camp at a point in time. So I'm bound to have a complicated relationship with your religion. So this was part 2, a follow-up on why I'm not Christian anymore. And that's just that. And that's why I mentioned that part where I'm African first. Because we need to take it with a grain of salt of, there are parts that speak of, for example, where you walk the land and you find a non-believer, the Lord has given you that land. Examples of things like this that have absolutely nothing to do with the messages or the messaging or the agenda of Christ himself. Absolutely nothing to do. These are political ideas and philosophies that are being put into that same book that carries so much wisdom. The Proverbs, it's incredible wisdom. And to this day, I post a Bible verse every single morning. If you follow me on WhatsApp, you know this. If you have my number, you watch my statuses, you know that I post a Bible verse every single morning, followed by a motivational video, and then whatever happens throughout the day, then I just normal status updates, right? Typically gonna be whatever I'm reading at that time. I have a Twitch, by the way, if you guys are into gaming, just to hang out, sort of connect with people outside of the more serious stuff, because we do need sort of breaks in between reality, but also to stay focused on the larger goal at hand. But it is important to have said this to give context on why I think the way that I think, because I understand the other side of it. And at the same time, I grew up Christian, so I understand the loving side of it as well. And I believe there has to be a divide. There has to be a line somewhere. And that's just my belief on where the line exists. Is okay, so the religion is one thing with its own agenda, but the prophet, the man was something else. And that I don't think anyone can refute. Then a final point is something that I put out today, which is a quote from Tani Banks. Talifani. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Banks. And he said, and this will be my final point, and then we're gonna wrap this up. Religions don't tell it like it is. Yeshua was a revolutionary, and he became Christ. Christ meaning highest level of consciousness. Therefore, ours should be to emerge as the highest level of consciousness, to become Christ or Christ-like. That's what it meant. Tani Banks. And this, when he says that's what it meant, it's obviously a reference to the messaging of the prophet. And this does coincide with everything that I've said thus far, to be my beliefs as well. And like I've said in the past, perhaps we are inclined to believe what serves us, and to believe or to repeat what validates the beliefs that we already hold, right? Because I believe that I may one day be Christ, right? I believe that I have God, I possess God within me. And so with the combination of those things and the understanding of all these ideas, it's very easy for me to hear that we are meant to emerge as Christ. So that being said, I'm not Christian anymore. When I say Christian, I'm talking about the religion. I 100,000% believe in God. I believe in the external God. I believe in the God within. I believe in magic. And I encourage you to do so too. So I think this is a good place to end it. If you did in fact enjoy it, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. I'm seeing the people coming in. I see all of your comments. I try to respond to every single one of them. I do very much love and appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Share to a friend if you want to have these interesting conversations. And if you want more content like this, then please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. I've been Sage, signing out.